So that's us, right? We're done the bit. This is the part that all your fans are going to come in for now. We're going to talk about rugby. We're going to talk about your journey in rugby. So you were aged, it was 17 you started playing rugby? Yeah, so how did that come about? Was there any sports that led you to play rugby, or was it just a case of, I know a lot of people join teams for CVs and UCAS and stuff like that, where you're like, I'll just give it a shot and fell in love, or?
I've always been quite sporty. Like I've always done quite a lot of different sports. I was really into athletics, like sprinting and throwing, and then so like that was
Rugby in a nutshell.
It got me fit. So like that was a really good thing going into rugby. Now I look back, like I had good strength and good power from that anyway. And then I was also a very keen curler, which I also get rinsed for.
I didn't expect you to say that. Why'd you get rinsed for curling? That's a Scottish sport. That's a patriot sport.
I know, and we're very the Scottish are very good at it. So yeah, it's very fun. But yeah, the girls think it's a bit dweeby, so I get rinsed for that too. But yeah, I was really keen on that. I started that when I was 7, so I was doing that quite a lot, quite often, every week. So yeah, really, really keen on that. But then my brother, very keen rugby player, he did loads of age grade stuff at Stirling County, and then there was just a day where my mum rocked up to pick him up, and there was a poster that said they were starting their own women's side, and she just was like, you could give it a go, see if you like it. And then didn't look back, loved it from day one, absolutely loved it. So yeah.
How did you rock up for day one? Was it a pair of your brother's old boots that were a bit worn out, or was it Mum was like, we'll get you the gear?
No, we went in, there used to be this rugby shop in Stirling, and we went to this rugby shop, and there was a bargain bin with like these ASICs, like black ASICs 8 studders, like,
the front row shoe,
the ugliest boots you've ever seen. And just got them because they were cheap, and then wore them to death. And looking back, I can't actually believe that I was turning up in them. But
No, Adidas are giving you free stash.
I know.
What time to be alive?
Thank God.
What you should have kept it like a wee humble, like a wee. This is the boot I'm going back to.
That's true. I should have kept them.
It's amazing, like the things you think of. It's like if I still had that, I'd keep it with such pride that you get rid of.
It's hilarious to think that I was wearing them. Like now, I can't bear to wear anything that's heavier than like the wee Nike moldies, and I had those bloody ASICs things. Honestly, so funny.
They're all good until you'll have your next like Scotland fixture that's not on Scotstoun, and it'll be like torrential mud.
Yeah,
you'll be like, I've got moldies that are so thin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they have
ASICs.
I was gonna say, you'll have ASICs knocking at the door, going, "Do you miss us yet?"
I know exactly. Oh. Yeah.
So your journey as a player, you said you went to County. So you started at County. You're one of the first team. That's really good for County. Then go. One of the first players we ever had is now a GB representative.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
If anybody from County's listening, I'd be firing that straight on like the about page, like famous players to play for us. So your journey there. So you're registered as a Watsonian ladies player. I know, as you were saying earlier, you've been pretty busy, so you've not had time to get there because you're representing the country, which is a fair enough reason as far as I'm concerned. So you're at County. Did you go straight to the Watsonian ladies, or was there a few steps in between, obviously with uni? Or?
Yeah, so I applied to go to uni in Edinburgh and Glasgow, and I'd always thought that I would go to Edinburgh. My dad's from here, and like we'd always spent a lot of time in Edinburgh when we were younger. Like we'd always come through to Edinburgh for the day. That was just where we like chose to come. So I got into both and decided last minute that I was actually more keen on Glasgow, just because it was a completely new place. I didn't know it very well, and went there and absolutely loved it, and played for Hills the whole time I was there. I played for County for a season or two at the start, and then moved to Hills and absolutely loved it. Great bunch of girls, really fun environment, and obviously we were quite good at the time as well, so quite a dominant team. Which was
you won the final. You won the final with Hills, did you not?
Yeah. That was a great day. That was a really good day. That was fun.
How loose was the baby bus at the end of that?
Yeah, it was pretty loose.
Yes, and that's all I'm going to say because I will cost somebody their job.
that was a big day and a big night. It was so good.
Quite right. I'd still be out now if I want to fight.
Yeah.
I got 3 finals and lost them all. So. I am like serial second place.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Heartbreaking. But
yeah, it's quite good though. Like we've obviously played at Murrayfield, so that was quite a cool opportunity for everybody, because I think quite a lot of the girls weren't involved in the Scotland stuff, so it was actually quite fun for them to go to Murrayfield as well. And it was just like a good atmosphere, because you had quite a lot of the boys teams who'd played earlier in the day were just in the stands like drinking and having a great time. So yeah, it was actually like a really fun day out.
It is. Finals day at Murrayfield is the best. We went as the uni rugby team, so we weren't in any of it, but you know how it's like it's always a weird night. It's always like a Thursday or a Friday for some reason. It's never a weekend. So like the best, like anybody, like any team that's in Edinburgh, like Watsonians ladies, next time you're back, get them to just go to finals day for a day out.
Yeah.
You have to get really good at putting bottles of rosé in the inside of your jacket, but other than that, it's great.
Okay. Yeah, I'll bear that in mind. But yeah, like it is a fun day, and that would actually be quite a good social.
Yeah, finals day, you have to you put 2 names in a hat for each team that's about to play, and each player picks out one of them, and then you have to support that team. That'd be a good socials.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Let's do that. Why not? Organise that social. There you go. Yeah. The over 80 minutes, when I get every guest, I'll get them all to come for a finals day. So watch some bootleg amateur rugby just to the bunch. There you go. Right, so I'm going to talk about your Scotland debut now. So your 15s debut came first, and you got thrown in right at the deep end against France in 2013.
Yeah.
So how was it like fresh-faced at France in 2013?
Yeah, so that was a very last-minute thing. I wasn't actually in the setup at that point, because I was in the middle of all my uni stuff, and I was kind of playing rugby for Hills and really enjoying that, but not. I just felt like I didn't have time to commit to the Scotland team. But the coach at the time contacted me and said, it was like 3 days before they left for France, they were like, we don't have any cover. We really need you to come to France, because we've got no players for the back row, because at the time I was playing back row. So
what position? What were we, 6, 7 or 8?
So I played 8 for county, and then I went to Hills, and Gemma Forsyth, who is now my best mate, but she was 8 at Hills. My first session at Hills, somebody asked me what position I played, and I said, I play number 8. And Gemma was like, well, you won't be playing that here, because I'm number 8. And I was like terrified, because I was so young, and I was like, okay. But then they put me at 7, and I absolutely loved it, and it was such a good back row with the 2 of us in it. But yeah, I was playing 7 regularly, and then they just took me. They were like, you'll probably get 10 minutes off the bench, like, don't stress, it's going to be fine. And then I got there, and Susie Brown went down at half time, so I was thrown on at half time at 7, and I actually was so traumatized by that whole game. Like, they just had massive girls running at me that I was not prepared for. So yeah, that was quite a traumatic experience.
I feel bad for you having to do that.
Oh.
I can imagine nothing worse. That'd be like
not fun.
That'd be like in the men's perspective, that'd be like your first adult game going from under 18s to go. Yeah. So we've drawn one of the Super 6 teams in the first round in your play.
Yeah, that honestly, it was savage. But we had a good night out afterwards. So
that's all that counts.
Pros and cons.
Exactly. Pros and cons. Didn't have to revise. Got a good night out. Got battered.
Absolutely battered, honestly.
That's exactly what we want. So then you've now been in the Scotland setup. You're 2013, and then 2017 you made your sevens debut, was it not? 2017. So 4 years in the Scotland setup. What's it like being in the Scotland setup for 4 years? Like, do you feel like, do you get a confidence when you go to camp after the 4th year? Are you like, this is like, you know, like old reliable, I know what I'm doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I still get a bit nervous going back in, especially if I think I struggle when I go from 7s back to 15s. I get a bit like jittery when I go back, just in between the two, because I think you get so used to the vibe at 7s. It's a smaller group, smaller management setup, and then you go back to 15s and there's about 100 people there, and sometimes you don't know certain people, so it's a bit overwhelming. But yeah, I think you do get used to the way of things and the routine and stuff, but I think you're always a bit tentative going in.
Mm-hmm. So what was the first 7 situation like? You touched on it there, how different it is. What's it like going into the sevens situation for the first time, and there's like a handful of the amount of people you're expecting to see?
Yeah, so 2015, I got a phone call from Scott Forrest, and he was asking if I was available to play sevens that summer. But I was in the middle of my exams and very, very, very stressed, and like they were my final exams, so I just had to get through them, and I couldn't make, I think, a couple of the weekend camps, and because I had revision and I was up to my eyeballs in it, and he basically was like, if you can't make these weekends, then I can't select you for the summer. So that was like, and I didn't really know much about sevens at the time, so I wasn't that bothered. And then 2017, when I actually gave it a go, I was like, I cannot believe I've not been playing this the whole time. Like, this is the best thing ever. Like, we just had such a fun year. We were in the trophy, so we were in the league below the GPS that we're in at the moment, and we just had such a good time. Like, sunny sevens, we did really well, we were really dominant. We got promoted. Like, it was such a good summer, but I was kicking myself for not starting it earlier, because it was just, I loved it from day one. I loved it.
I'm jealous. I know it's like 5 years ago, and I'm still jealous now. You're just like sunny sevens, all your mates are hanging out, you're winning weekend after weekend.
So good.
What's it like traveling the world with like 10 of your best pals? And you're just
it's like, oh, it's so great. And like, you forget, like, we're so lucky to be in that situation. Like, you know, going to Hong Kong, Biarritz, South Africa, you're going all over the place for free. Like, you're just, it's insane. Like, how many people can say that they've done that? And then just, especially with sevens, when you've got that tight knit group, it's just great fun. You know, but we had a tour to South Africa with 15s, and that was just as good, like just as fun. Just a total laugh, and we did really well out there as well. I think it makes a difference, obviously, when you do well, because everyone's just absolutely buzzing. But yeah, it's just, we're so lucky to be in the situation that we're in.
No, absolutely. So what was it like? Actually, I'm not going to ask that. We'll scrap that. You've covered it a bit more. You touched on it really briefly, the difference between how would you describe the difference between sevens and 15s, like as a camp? Not as sports, like as a camp.
Yeah, I think sevens is usually a bit more laid back. Like, I think 15s, there's quite a lot of tension, there's quite a lot of hype, because obviously the Six Nations is streamed and lots of people are talking about it. You've got loads of hype leading up to the game, so like the camps can usually be quite, like, all go like quite intense, quite stressful. So
no rugby tennis.
no rugby tennis. Whereas you go to sevens camps and you're like warming up with spike ball, you're messing about playing football.
What a game. We're talking about spike ball later as well.
So good. But like, it's a lot more chilled, and I think obviously the games, the 15s games, it's just one game, and it's like so much rests on that one game, whereas sevens, it's like 3 or 4 games a day. So you've just got to move on, like, you've got to wipe the slate clean and move on. So it is intense in a different way, but 15s, I think there's just more pressure, and there's more, I think, media awareness as well. So yeah, I always find 15s camps a bit more stressful and a bit more full on than sevens ones.
Yeah. I say it every time, like, the thought of sevens terrifies me, but like you say, like, you know, when you're doing like probably when you were back playing for like ladies, or you're playing for Hills, you know, when you go down to like an amateur League Sevens tournament, there's no better day out.
Oh, so much fun.
Like did you ever come, like, you're obviously you're aware of like King of the Sevens, the Border series.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to like come down to Melrose Ladies Sevens Day or something like that?
Yeah, I've been to the Melrose Sevens before. I wasn't playing or anything, but I've been. Yeah, it's a good day.
Did you go to did Melrose, back when they had a women's team, did they ever host like a sevens tournament or that?
I don't know, actually. I didn't play in one, but they might have done. I can't remember.
I'll have to have a word, because there's no better day out than a Border Sevens tournament.
Yeah, so good. We went to, when I was with County and at Hills, actually, we went to Isla, and that was such a good weekend. Like, so much fun.
The one I always hear about is Orkney. Everybody, like the Peebles lads, love an trip to Orkney Sevens.
Yeah,
that's the one I want to experience. I'm not playing because I'm butchered, like, but
yeah,
just mentally and physically butchered. But I'll go to watch.
Orkney's actually really cool, because I was doing work experience in Orkney at the Vets, and Dunfermline Rugby came up to play Orkney,
Yeah.
So there was just like this huge buzz around the town because they're all like so excited about the fact that there was a rugby game going on. So
Visitors. We have
they
visitors.
were like, oh my goodness, people are coming across from the mainland. This is amazing. So yeah, we ended up going, like, I was with my friend and we were staying in this little hostel, and we ended up going out, and it was such a good night out. Like, so many, like, rugby boys everywhere, just having the time of their lives. It was
so much chinos.
Yeah.
So many chinos and brown shoes.
Yeah, it was great. And the town just literally came alive. It was so funny.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I'll be honest. I prefer amateur rugby to professional rugby. I like internationals, but I prefer amateur rugby.
Yeah, loose.